And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the East Brunswick Township Council meeting on this day, March 27, 2023. Will everyone please rise as we pledge allegiance to our nation? Remain standing for a moment of personal reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Township Clerk, please call roll and read our statement of adequate notice.
Councilmember Hall. Here. Councilman Wendell.
Here.
Councilwoman Winston.
Here.
Councilwoman Zimbicky.
Oh, here, sorry.
Council President McAvoy.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen.
Here.
Administrator Joseph Criscuolo.
Here.
And Township Attorney Michael Baker.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and Sentinel newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. We have a motion for Resolution 23-112, adopting meeting minutes from March 3rd, 2023. Motion? Second? Any clarification or discussion on these minutes? Township Clerk, we call the roll.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicky?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
I get
Yes,
caught off
let's
guard
go.
all the time.
Thank you all.
I get caught off guard all the time being called second.
Everyone.
With a W.
Let's begin with proclamations. Can I have a motion for a proclamation for Fast Break Basketball and similarly one to honor Mr. Larry Reeder as Fast Break Basketball President?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
And whoever else on the board who wants to come up and join us in this part of the fast break. A little tight up here, but this is all for all of you, so.
And as you can see, Councilwoman, they're broken down into
thank you.
the two groups. And then we'll do take a recess and vote on these pictures.
So first, I'm going to start with the proclamation for a fast break. I have a few words to say before I begin. Alan, congratulations on your new role as president of the Board of Trustees for Fast Break Basketball. For over 27 years, your organization has provided open access to developmental and competitive basketball to the youth of East Brunswick. Your co-ed division accommodates athletes grades 1 through 12. The girls division grades 3 through 8. There is a travel program and a buddy ball program. Our winters in New Jersey are long, dark, and cold, providing all our children with a healthy, safe indoor space where they can learn and play this incredible sport in an organized, positive, and diverse social setting is a big win for families and our kids, and therefore a big win for our town. In this day and age of screen time and technology, which routinely take our youth away from regular socialization and exercise, programs such as Fast Break are more critical than ever. Your inclusivity and acceptance of all levels of athletes allows all kids to experience the joy of the game. As part of a longtime member of a coaching family and recently division director, I've witnessed how vital and incredibly more important this program has become to the players and families over the years. It's become a social event with students packing the bleachers and posting standings and highlights on social media. They love this program. People who say it's just rec have never witnessed the jubilation of a bench-clearing three-point buzzer beater from half-court at Hammersholt. To those kids, especially those with no chance of ever playing on an elite team, this league is everything. Fast Break has done this for decades now, and all of this is organized and worked solely by volunteer help. Coaches, site directors, division directors, table help, and all administration is conducted by people who step up because it's the right thing to do. It involves hours of hard work, communication, and organization. It involves showing up when you're exhausted from a grueling commute from the city or starving because you still haven't found time for lunch. It means relentless dedication to a cause year after year because you see how it all adds up to something fantastic. Volunteerism is the heartbeat and soul of any community. When residents organize together like this, magic happens, and Fast Break embodies this exact energy. East Brunswick Township is infinitely better because of all your years of dedication and hard work. You are a vital part of what makes us great, and we thank you. Whereas Fast Break Basketball was founded in the fall of 1996 by Matt Corton and Todd Levy, with 20 second-grade players, has grown over to 1,200 participants. And whereas Fast Break Basketball is dedicated to teaching the fundamental skills of basketball and creating a safe environment for all who participate, over the last 26 years, the program has expanded in order to meet the needs of the township and has served the community through 4 primary programs. And whereas Fast Break Basketball currently has co-ed rec program with divisions from 1st to 12th grades, girls division, travel program, and a buddy ball program, which services children and young adults with varying physical and mental disabilities as buddies, and pals who are student volunteers working with the buddies. And whereas partnering with the East Brunswick schools, Fast Break was able to establish a program that provides students who volunteer their time to earn community service credits. To date, there have been over 15,000 hours earned. Now it be proclaimed that I, Brad J. Cohen, Mayor of East Brunswick, along with the Township Council, do hereby thank all the players, parents, student volunteers, coaches, division and site directors, trustees, and officers on their success, and look forward to next season. Thank you. The next proclamation is for Larry Ryder, and I won't be as wordy, but I have something important to share. Larry, for 15 years, you've served this organization with honor, and because of your leadership, the organization is thriving and essential to many, many people. You've grown it over the years to its incredible state that it's in now. When I asked you what was your motivation for volunteering and being so dedicated, you responded to me, and this struck home with me. You responded that Fast Break is a great organization supporting the community, and when asked to take on more responsibility to help out, I simply never said no. It was never about what I want to do this. It was never about I want to do this, but what does the organization need to keep moving forward? Go forward. One philosophy has permeated all my roles at Fast Break. Every decision comes down to what is in the best interest of the program and the best interest of the kids. Remove any personal objective. That is a recipe for the magic that we talked about earlier, the success of the heartbeat and soul of a town, and you embody all of that. And we thank you so much, and we hope that your future endeavors are wonderful and your retirement is relaxing.
Thank you very much.
I'll read the proclamation for you. Larry Ryder, Fast Break Basketball President. Whereas it is important for a community to recognize and honor citizens who selflessly give of their time and themselves to improve the quality of life for others, as well as to acknowledge the outstanding and noteworthy achievements of those citizens that go above and beyond. And whereas Larry Ryder joined Fast Break Basketball as a coach and division director 15 years ago, he became a trustee 11 years ago and became president 8 years ago. And whereas Larry Ryder has coached for 13 of his 15 years with Fast Break Basketball, losing 1 season to COVID, and this year not having a child in the program. And whereas Larry Ryder's philosophy has always been, every decision comes down to what is in the best interest of the program and the best interest of the kids. Remove any personal objective. Now it be proclaimed that I, Brad J. Cohen, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, and the Township Council, on behalf of a grateful community, do hereby commend Larry Ryder for all his efforts of volunteering for the Fast Break Basketball organization and wish him the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a few words, or do you have anything you'd like to share? You can come in front. That's fine.
We'll just thank you for the town council for recognizing Fast Break Basketball, more than myself. Really appreciate it. This truly is a program that is for the community and really serviced and supported by the community. We're a 100% volunteer organization, so whether it's the trustees, fellow trustees of Alan Unger and Kim Ruoff and Jen Austin and Dara Kona for the past few years, our division directors, our officers, who a number of are here through that, supporting that, and all our site directors, making sure all the school rules are followed, no water in the gyms, and also all the coaches. We're still a program trying to keep this economical for every family in East Brunswick. All our coaches are 100% volunteer. We have not outsourced any third party and brought in for that. So with that, it's really been a pleasure to service this community and really have the support of the community, not just of all the volunteers, over 200 volunteers every year, but also from the Parks and Rec Department and Mike Reisner's crew from the Board of Ed and the school system, as well as the town council and the mayor's office, to really support this program for everything we need. And it's been an honor to be able to lead this organization and really leading what has been built, from Matt Corn starter to really Howie Alexander, who really built this up, and I'm really continuing what Howie started and really expanded the program, and has really been a mentor in my sound of reason, for the past 8 years also. So I want to thank all the other volunteers, and I know that we're in good hands leading this next generation of leadership that you see up here to continue servicing the community of East Brunswick. Thank you.
All right, why don't we take a quick recess and we're going to leave it this way. Mayor, our next proclamation is in honor of Estelle Goldsmith. The mayor and I were over at her house today celebrating her 100th birthday. And her spirit and her livelihood was fascinating for someone 100 years of age. So we want to do the same thing here with the council. Mayor Cohn?
Thank you. I don't know if many of you know Estelle Goldsmith. I know that she probably retired from being involved in the township's volunteer and organizations a couple of years ago. But if anybody is involved in art, if anybody is involved in learning about the history of our township, if anybody is involved in a sports program, if anybody's involved in the recreation department and trying to preserve space here in the township, if anybody's involved in the museum, which we actually do have a museum here in East Brunswick, which you should visit, it was all started and supported by Estelle Goldsmith, who moved here in 1957. She has an indelible mark on almost everything that we've been able to build in any one of those areas to this day. So it was an extraordinary honor today to be there to celebrate her 100th birthday, which, to be honest, I don't think she's lost a marble. So it's really phenomenal. So I wanted to read this proclamation on her behalf. She couldn't be here today, but I'm sure that her spirit is here, and you will see that the Civic Center Way has now been named for the next week in her honor. So, whereas it is important for our community to recognize, commemorate, and celebrate citizens who have not only attained the age of 100, but who have devoted their lives to the betterment of our citizens and to their community, especially in the avenues of performing, visual, and historic arts. And whereas an extraordinary and vital resident of East Brunswick Township since moving here with her family in 1957, Estelle Goldsmith has instilled the awareness, appreciation, and love of the arts for her fellow citizens by reaching all members of the community. And whereas throughout her 100 years of life, Estelle has devoted herself to the goal of instilling that love of the arts by affording citizens opportunities to experience the arts through free concerts, lectures, and through her direction and guidance in acquiring a 9-foot grand piano that's readily available to all musicians of our community, and through her countless hours of teaching piano to both young and adult musicians. Whereas Estelle has attained her 100 years of life and continues to be the compelling force behind the promotion of the arts as seen through her past and continuous membership as evidenced as past president of the East Brunswick Historical Society, a founding member of the East Brunswick Museum Corporation, president emeritus of the East Brunswick Arts Commission, and as a member of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and her continued membership in some of those societies. And whereas through Estelle's longevity and her family's generosity, her extended family now includes that of the entire community of East Brunswick, bonded together by her vision for the arts, performing, visual, and historical, that she has modeled and has embodied in her 100 years of life. Whereas to commemorate her 100th birthday, Civic Center Drive will be ceremonially renamed Estelle Way from March 24th to April 10th of this year in her honor. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Brad Cohen, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, and in collaboration with the societies mentioned in the above proclamation, as well as that of a grateful community, do hereby wish Estelle Goldsmith a very happy 100th birthday and many more to come, and thank her for her lifelong and continued dedication to our community and touching the lives of our citizens through her vision for the promotion, appreciation, and love of the arts that she has bestowed upon all of us here in East Brunswick, given under the hand and the Great Seal of the Township on the 27th day of March in the year 2023.
At this time, we're going to give our third proclamation. We'll spin it around so you can see Councilman Wendell and myself. We'd like to have the members of the team members, parents stay, just team members up here so you can come behind us.
Team members and coaches.
Please,
Come on up.
because we're going to do our photo session right behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take another recess once I'm finished with my brief talk and Councilman Wendell has some thoughts and reads the proclamation. And the outfits are outstanding. I'm serious. It really is part of the image. So if that's the parents group who did that or the fundraising of one particular individual, kudos to you. As there was a lot of finger pointing. As a lot of you, right. My name's Kevin McAvoy, and as a lot of you know, I taught up at the high school for 37 years. I had 3 state championships. Very difficult to arrive at where your sons have arisen to. Group 4 competition is hard, real hard. Whether it's Westfields and Paramuses up north, the Central Jersey opposition in South Brunswick and Monroe, all the way down to Haddonfield and Cherry Hill, it is extremely important that we bring up the future of our community because each one of these young men demonstrates leadership. You don't get to Group 4 state championship level unless you are all leaders and you all feed off one another. So we are very, very proud, and that's why we have a habit of bringing our state championship teams here to Town Council for recognition. Councilman Wendell?
Thank you, Council President. My name is Councilman Jim Wendell, grew up here in town, a product of the East Brunswick school system, was an athlete in school, and honestly, guys, to get to the state championship, just to arrive there is tremendous, but to actually win it, it's something unlike anything else. So I give you guys a lot of credit. Great job, hard work, lots of practice, you know, and it's great. And a good leader, coach, right? So, proclamation for the East Brunswick Boys Bowling Team. The 2022-2023 year, whereas the East Brunswick High School boys finished 2022-2023 season with an impressive 13-3 overall regular season record. They won team high Baker game at the Charles A. Simon Baker Challenge and made it to the semifinals of the GMC tournament. And whereas the East Brunswick High School boys bowling team qualified for second place overall in the NJSIAA Central Jersey State Sectional Tournament, the team then went on to compete in the Group 4 State Championship, winning with 2,774 points, beating the second place team by 65 points. And whereas this type of competition provides an opportunity for youth to learn and enjoy the meaning of team spirit and the value of hard work and dedication. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Brad J. Cohen, Mayor of the Township of East Brunswick, and the Township Council congratulate the East Brunswick High School boys bowling team, Supervisor of Athletics Frank Malta, and their coach Corey Widmeyer on their achievement and commend them for exhibiting qualities of hard work, perseverance, and self-sacrifice through the season. Team members are Kevin McMillan, please, if I get a name a little wrong. I know Kevin, so that was an easy one. Andrew Bronco, Eddie Cho, Mario Cherry, Chris Stephan, Jeremy Leventhal, Dylan Camus, Ryan Puritz, and Evan Conticcio. Congratulations, boys. Coach, would you like to say something? Or one of your others? One of your teammates? It's up to you guys.
I just want to thank everyone for acknowledging the hard work and the dedication that not only these boys but their families, went through this year and all the years leading up to, this moment of them finally achieving state champions as a group. So
congratulations to you, Coach.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
These are for yours.
Thank you.
Where's Kevin?
He's at a press conference for a football game.
Parents, you want to get some pictures?
Let's get the team first, okay? Don't leave, Jim.
I'm going up
Okay.
to higher ground.
No, I'm gonna bring everybody down here. I like the angle. Let the moms and dads. At this time, we come out of recess. And let me introduce our mayor for his reported financial presentation. Mayor Cohen.
Thank you, Council President. I did deliberately, at the State of the Township address, leave out a large segment that I wanted to devote to the financial state of the township, because I think that deserves its own heading, and it's so meaty that I could have taken up the entire time talking about that. And so I thought it was worth the time to advise the council and the community where we are in terms of the township's financial state. So let me get started. And as many of you know, and I did mention actually at the State of the Township address, the township maintains and continues to maintain a AA1 bond rating. That was something that was reaffirmed last year, and that bond rating is based on several specific factors that are critical in the unbiased opinion of Moody's when they make a decision on the town's credit rating. The first thing that they hone in on is our excellent cash management plan, which focuses on maintaining and adding to our cash reserves. We stand in a very good position in terms of cash reserves, and I can assure you when they look at your township's financial statements, they hone right in on that number. We also enjoy a 99% collection ratio, which is critical for us being able to continue to maintain our bills. That is completely due to our residents who take paying their bills seriously and do it on time. The township also enjoys an extraordinarily low debt ratio. Again, another factor that the rating agency takes into consideration. And finally, they look at what's going on in the township. They look at the elected officials, they look at the administrative team, they look at the directions for the township in terms of trying to promote smart redevelopment, and with our focus being on the areas of town that have blighted and non-performing properties, and how our plans are in place and moving moving in order to turn those property into properties that yield much higher tax ratables. Clearly, all four factors have led the rating agency to give us one of the highest bonding ratings that one can get. That helps us be able to finance at extraordinarily low interest rates. The second thing that we did in the past year was we took advantage of historically low interest rates to convert our bond anticipation notes to bonds. Bond anticipation notes is typically how a lot of towns finance on an ongoing basis. Traditionally, the difference between the interest rates on bonds and the interest rates on bands was significant enough that we were in a better place going with bands, which usually go out to about anywhere from 5 to 10 years. But with historically low interest rates, the bond rate went so low that it was worth it for the town to convert the bands to bonds. We actually now carry bonds that have interest rates somewhere between 1.16 and 1.86%. It's practically free money. We did that for our current fund. We did it for our water and sewer utility, the parking utility, and our police utility. That ability to have such strong command of what our expenses are going to be on the debt side allows us to have very stable debt structure over the next 9 to 19 years. As I mentioned earlier, the township's financial report does talk about and mentions, required to mention to the DCA its debt. Many of you recall that last year we were able to get rid of the $15 million bond that we had sitting out there. We didn't borrow on it, but we had $15 million available and approved by this council in the event that in redevelopment we needed to take property through eminent domain. It has turned out that if we go to eminent domain, which we have not done, that the developer will be paying for the property, and the township is using their money essentially to take any property if we have to get to that position. But it hasn't been done so far, and we were therefore able to wipe $15 million off of the debt that must be reported to the state, dropping our 0.5% debt ratio now to 0.38%, which is actually one of the lowest in the state. We should be very proud of that. The township also carries non-municipal debt. Many of you know that we also use our extraordinarily low interest rates to help the Board of Education and to help our fire districts bond for very expensive projects. The total debt for our non-municipal debt stands at $37 million compared to the township's total debt, which is $29 million. Most of that $37 million of non-municipal debt is held by the Board of Education through 5-year bands that they pay every year, each year in a rotating basis. The last band that we were able to obtain for the Board of Education carried an interest rate actually below 2%, which is phenomenal. Our Township Finance Department collects taxes for a multiple number of bodies that work here in East Brunswick outside of the state of New Jersey and the U.S. government, which you pay your taxes to individually. The township is required to collect the municipal taxes, which is the portion of your property tax bill that goes towards paying for municipal services. That total tax bill, the municipal portion represents, depending upon the fire district you live in, anywhere from 18 to 20% of the total tax bill. The Board of Education, of course, is the giant piece. That's 62 to 65% of our property tax bill is Board of Education money that we must collect for them. The Middlesex County portion, somewhere between 13 and 15%. And again, we're told by the county what we must collect for them, and then the money gets forwarded to the county. That's not township money. We're just a collection agency. We also collect for all 3 fire districts. We collect for our open space funds, and we a portion of the property taxes and pay for the East Brunswick Public Library. The total of all taxes collected of all those items in last year's year was about a little over $220 million. On top of that, The department also collects taxes for all of our utilities and the redevelopment agency. We run 5 separate utilities in the township: a water utility, a sewer utility, parking utility, pool or recreation utility, the police utility, and a redevelopment agency. Utilities, as you know, are separate, almost look at them as separate businesses. They must be self-liquidating, meaning that the cost of that utility has to be paid for by the users. If your water bill is paid by those who are using water, the parking utility is paid by those who park. And at the end of the day, we look to make sure that we completely don't rely on township property taxes to pay for those. But our department still collects all those fees. So on top of the $220 million collected in taxes, the utilities bring in another $60 million every year, bringing total collections a little under $300 million. Looking at our different utilities, our pool utility, if we go back from 2020 to this year, as most of you recall, 2020, we were in a lockdown state. We were really unable to utilize the pool facility, as most of us were required to stay indoors. And unfortunately, that had a profound effect on the pool utility, since it still has debt. So we did need to use some or most of the fund balance that was in that account in order to keep that utility self-liquidating. In 2021, we did see people come back to use the pool, and we were certainly a lot further ahead than we were in 2020, but it did fall a little short, and we had to inject about $227,000 of American Rescue Plan funds in order to keep that fund self-liquidating. In 2022, I'm happy to say that we were back to basically the same levels of utilization as we had before the pandemic. And so for 2022, the utility was self-liquidating, covering all its expenses and all of its debt service. For 2023, we expect the same. Despite the fact that we all realize that the cost of chemicals have skyrocketed, insurance has skyrocketed, and obviously the cost of staff has gone up, both due to the minimum wage increase and the fact that it's so difficult to find people to fill those positions. Everything that I just said to you about the rosy picture for the pool utility, I take back for the parking utility. The parking utility in 2020, as most of you know, again, people were not going in and commuting, and so we used up our fund balance to keep that facility, utility self-liquidating. In 21 and in 22, we did utilize American Rescue Plan funds to remain self-liquidating. The question becomes, what do we do in 2023? Because our funding is no longer available. That is something that we are in ongoing discussions to figure out different ways in which we can help keep the utility afloat without going to the public. Our water and sewer utility are fully self-liquidating. They're operating actually at a profit. For the water utility, most of you know that a lot of that profit is going to be injected into many projects that were part of the water rate increase back in 2019. Those projects include the Route 18 water lines. As most of you know, that's a Department of Transportation project, but it includes repairing all the water lines along Route 18, which are township lines. The project is going to be somewhere around a $16 million cost, of which the state is willing to give us half the money. So despite all the whining and complaining about Route 18, we're just going to have to stick with it, because if we don't do it, then we're going to have to repair the lines later ourselves, dig up Route 18, we will have to pay the full $16 million and any repairs to Route 18 because of our not doing it at this time. So we're just going to have to suck wind a little bit and let them get the work done. We also have an ongoing meter replacement program that was approved back in 2019. It's about 50% complete at this time. And many of you recall that we had a main water break in November. That's the main water line that comes into the township and supplies not only to township, but all of the other towns that we supply water to, Helmetta, South River, and Spotswood. That water line is about 70 years old. We do need to put in a duplicate line. That line goes directly under Route 1. If that were to ever break actually under Route 1, the cost that our taxpayers would have to pay for to shut down Route 1 and fix that line is probably, I don't even want to imagine what that could be. So that's another project that water utility must support, and that was the main reasons behind the water rate increase, besides the fact that the cost of water went up. Sewer utility, many of you know we're in the process of looking at plans to expand the Community Arts Center. In order to really do that and make it more accessible to people, we need to convert the present septic system to a sewer system, a municipal sewer system, and that project includes developing the lines that would go to the Kingswood pump station, and that's being done this year. I wanted to spend a couple of seconds on the East Brunswick Library because I know there's a lot of recent chatter about that. And despite all of that, we do maintain a very close relationship with the library administration and the library board to ensure that we continue to provide the quality services from our library that any of our township residents request. This is not the case in many other townships in the county or state. In fact, our township is one of only 3 other townships that provide additional money to the public library above the third of the mill. What's required every year from townships is this third of the mill. Basically, that is a calculation that the DCA makes every year based on property values, and a certain percentage of your total budget must go to support a free and public library every year. And that number is given to you each year. What they do is they call it a third of the mill because they take property values over the last 3 years and then divide it by 3, so that if there's a very rapid increase or decrease in property values, it doesn't affect the budget of the library to any significant way. So it's factored in and smoothed out over a period of time. So that's their mandatory contribution that every town must make to the public library, unless there's a municipal public library is part of a county system, which is not the case in Middlesex. East Brunswick provides an additional support. Each year, we contribute above that mandatory requirement somewhere between $500,000 and $1.5 million every year. The money goes towards helping the library be able to provide all the programs that it does. In addition, our own departments, Finance Department and Human Resources Department, provides a lot of services. In many other towns, the CFO or the business administrator gives a check to the library to function on their third of the mill and don't come back for another year, and everything else gets paid for by that library. We don't do that. We have helped them so that on top of the additional support, our department also processes all of the library's financial records. It maintains its financial systems through our admin system. It processes their payroll taxes, does all their pension filing. It processes all their checks and related tax payments. It helps in the processing and completion of their annual financial report. Our Human Resources Department maintains a log of all current employees and their employee data for payroll. The East Brunswick Public Library is also included in the township's joint insurance fund for its insurance, and the library employees use the same self-insured health plan that we offer our township employees at rates that they could never obtain by themselves because they don't have the volume to get the discount that the township gets. This is a huge savings for the library and for library employees, as they have mandatory contribution requirements requirements like everyone else, which is a % of premium. So if we can keep the premium low, it's savings for not only the library, but the employees as well. And because we are a self-funded plan, any health plan issue, any insurance issue, any claim issue is handled by the Township HR department because we are self-funded. So I just wanted to give people a flavor on top of the money that we give the library or the services that we provide, so that we can allow them to use their funding for primary services for the library and give the service to the public that they ask for. We also have our finance department manages the finance for our redevelopment agency. Our CFO acts as the CFO of the redevelopment agency. They manage all of their financial transactions, submit all of their tax filings, works with our auditing firm to produce the annual audit. And good news is that the township, when the agency started back in 2018, helped provide the seed money to get them off the ground. But as of last year, based on the redevelopment fees and funds that are coming into the agency, much like our utilities, they are now self-liquidating and do not require support from your tax dollars to keep that organization, that agency going. All that's good news, and I'm proud of that, and we should be as a town. But there are clearly areas of concern that everybody should be aware of, and number one on the list, as I mentioned earlier, is the parking utility. We clearly need to figure out a way to make sure that we cover all our expenses, because it simply looks like it's been a slow and anemic return of people back to working full-time and filling the decks, where there used to be a 3-year wait to get a parking spot in our decks. There's no wait any longer, and the number of people coming in to utilize the deck, while coming back, it's coming back slowly, but we're not anywhere near where it was pre-COVID. The other thing everybody needs to keep in mind, I'm sure it's no secret, but interest rates have just gone up. We're not at the 1-2% interest rates that we got a year or 2 years ago. Any funding that we need to do going forward, the schools, fire districts that utilize our services to get lower rates, you will get better rates using the township, but they are significantly higher than what they were a year or 2 years ago. The other thing on the horizon is that we are nearing the end of our 5-year contract for solid waste and recycling that ends in December of this year. Everybody knows every town has been getting close to 30% increases in the costs of recycling and solid waste. It is an industry for which there is very little room to negotiate, because there's so few people wanting to do municipal work. So you have very few companies coming out to bid. The cost is gone up. Their costs have gone up. And so just brace yourselves. That cost is going to go up. We're looking to very seriously at figuring out things that we can continue to provide for our residents, some things that we might need to give up on, so that we can come out with a contract that we can live with, and isn't an eye-opener when we get it. And finally, I know that it was a big deal the last couple of years. The governor has been able to help support public schools by providing the state aid that they had not been getting for several years. In fact, our own public schools in the last 3 years is up $19 million in state aid, which is great. That is because the state is in a good position right now. There's about a $10-11 billion surplus, and that's great. They're using that to help promote and support a lot of things that the state was unable to do prior when things were tighter. But one thing that has been a big bugaboo with towns is energy tax credits. Energy tax credits is the taxes that are due to towns for the public service for utility, PSE&G, JCP&L use of public right-of-ways. They pay and should be paying taxes for their use of the property just like you do. Back in 1980, 80s, sometime under Corzine, the state of New Jersey changed the way in which that was paid. It used to be paid directly to townships, but under the Corzine administration, the money was paid by energy companies directly to the state, and then the state in turn reimbursed towns, minus, of course, a VIG for themselves. At the end of the day, that and Comptra, which is another source of money that's due to towns based on railroad line uses and waterway uses and certain insurance companies that get to use businesses in towns. They also paid into a fund. The state took that one over as well. But both Comptra and energy tax credits are township money. That is your money that the state collects. What they ended up doing under, I believe, Christie, was that they put in a what they call a poison pill, which allows the state, you have to pay townships their energy tax credits plus a rate inflator, a price inflator for the cost of living increase. The problem is that they didn't put the same requirement in for Comptra. So what the state did, smart, over the last couple of years, is they would increase the amount that you got in energy tax credits, but take it directly off of what they gave you in Comptra, so that your total state aid, which is the addition of your energy tax credits and Comptra, was basically flat. The problem now is Comtra's down to zero, so you can't go below zero. So now they gave us a modest increase, not nearly what we're due in our energy tax credits. We get about $4 million each year in energy tax credits. This year we got a whopping increase of $30,000, well below what we're due. The state and the governor did announce in his budget this year that he was putting aside $75 million to help reimburse towns for their back energy tax credits. However, it somehow hasn't made it to the budget. So he announced it, but it's not in the budget. So that's a big deal for townships, because I could tell you right now that in the last 5-6 years that I've been mayor, our municipal portion of your taxes has gone up 1% or below per year. It's very low. And had the township been getting its energy tax credits all along, you probably wouldn't have seen an increase at all. So that's a big deal. So I'm hoping that somewhere along the line, the energy tax credits for all townships, not just East Brunswick, this is the only one I care about right now, is reimbursed at the levels that we're entitled to and is owed to us, no different than what was done for bringing school state aid levels back to the schools the way they got their money. So I'm hoping that we can get that as well. Those are my big areas of concern. Finally, just want to say a big thank you to the people who really do all of this. Our CFO in the back, Angel Albanese, big credit, huge job, and she's just terrific, including her entire department. The finance department deserves everybody's appreciation. It's a limited number of people that are in there, and they're doing a huge job. Of course, our business administrator, Joe, everybody knows Joe, council members for always supporting the township, and of course our residents. I mean, we don't do anything if people aren't paying their bills, and at 99% collection ratio, you can't get much better than that. So I want to thank everybody, and a big kudos to the people who really make this run.
Thank you, Mayor. Any comments or questions on that financial report before we move on? Yes, Councilwoman Zambicki.
I just want to thank Mrs. Albanese for taking the time to sit down and go through the budget, like step by step with us. It was extremely helpful to be able to understand every little aspect. And it's so impressive to see how much money in grants that all the employees of the township apply for that really help us out. You know, it's a different view. You don't see it unless you're on this side of it, and it's very impressive. And clearly that showed in your presentation. So I just want to say thank you to you and your team. So thank you.
Councilwoman Zambicki and I sat down with, your mic's off, Or maybe I'm just not speaking loud enough. Councilwoman Zambicki and I sat down with Ms. Albanese and we reviewed our part, and it was enlightening, educational, eye-opening, because no matter how hard we try, the mayor and the council, to keep an eye on that budget and say no to this and no to that and no to this and no to that, versus the yeses. I mean, the yeses sort of just go. It was a fun hour and a half, or an hour and 15 minutes, and I recommend, maybe you have done it already, I'm not sure, but putting the time into finding the time. My time is a little different. However, that parking utility, that sounds like a problem, right? Do you think there's a possibility that you'll have to sell it?
It looks right now that we're working on two angles. One is to look for support from the state. We are certainly not the only parking deck in New Jersey that has the same issue, as people don't go back to work as quickly as they thought they would and move more to a hybrid schedule. We're not the only ones. So the state is actually looking at coming up with some sort of funding for decks much like ours that have this problem. And the other thing that we're doing is looking to work with the developer who was supposed to, as part of his project, build a third deck for us. But clearly that was the world we were living in prior to COVID, when we had a 3-year wait for our decks. So we're hoping to be able to work with him to utilize money that he would have contributed to a third deck towards helping us with the debt on the decks we have.
I also find when talking about the library, I'm laughing because when you talked about the financial records that we do for them, it's over. You do everything, borderline. This is how I'm interpreting. And then on the other side of the coin is the Board of Education that received $19 million?
Over the last 3 years, it was an increase of $5 million 2 years ago, 7.5 last year, and 6.5 this year. So it's money that was owed to the schools that had been cut back in aid during Christie, when we had unfortunately suffered with the recession and they couldn't make those equalization payments and categorical state aid. And this is an attempt to try to catch up with that. But it is a $19 million increase over 3 years, and it's perpetuity. Unless something happens that the governor feels that we're in a state that you can't continue to make those payments, there's every expectation those payments should continue each year going forward.
Do we see any type of matching funds for the municipal government?
Well, I'm hoping that we see matching funds, or at least some support through energy tax credits. That's why a lot of the League of Municipalities is so intent on trying to push that with the governor right now, because I believe that the residents deserve that type of, it's our money. It's not categorical and equalization state aid is something that varies each year based on property values and what the state has available. But energy tax credits is not discretionary. It's our money that they're holding on to. So that bothers me a lot.
Thank you, Mayor Cohn. Move on to ordinance 2309. Township Clerk, could you please read?
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 228 of the Township Zoning Code of the Township of East Brunswick.
Have a motion for that? Second?
Second.
Let's open this ordinance up to the public. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on ordinance 2309? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. And Township Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Zambicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes, ordinance 23-10, Township Clerk, can you please announce?
An ordinance amending Chapter 209, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 13, Schedules, Section 209-62, Schedule 23, Speed Limits of the Code of the Township of East Brunswick to establish a speed limit of 35 miles per hour on Main Street between the southerly township border and Taft Place.
And again, Council, we've discussed this in the last two meetings. Can I get a motion?
Move to adopt.
Second?
Second.
Let's open this up to the public. Anyone in the public wishing to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only? We'll close the public portion. Township Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicky?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Moving to our reports. Mayor Cohn?
The only thing I want to add is that tomorrow there's going to be a presentation given at the East Brunswick Board of Education office. I think it's high school juniors and seniors are participating for the fourth year in a row in a ULI, which is the Urban Land Institute program that they do with the township, which is a project that students get the opportunity to redevelop a fictitious town or city that's fallen into blight or disrepair, and need to put together programs that redevelop it. And it's a fascinating project because, first of all, it's real life. Each student gets an opportunity to take a different role. One could be a finance person, someone's a developer, a planner, somebody representing a community liaison person, and they sit and present to a fictitious council their projects, and one at the end of the day ends up winning, and each of the people who have a different role get a award for who did the best job in that role. But the important part about this is it's a real life experience and stuff that's being done right here in the township, and it's fascinating to listen to some of these students discuss issues such as affordable housing, specific community needs, making sure that the projects have the right rate of return, that they set aside a certain percentage for not only affordable housing but energy efficiencies, all the things that we're doing here right in the township right now. And it's just a great thing for us to see the students doing something that they could immediately apply to. It's just great. So if anybody has an opportunity and wants to come out, it's from 9:30 to 4 tomorrow at the Board of Education office on Route 18.
Thank you, Mayor Cohn. Our Business Administrator, Mr. Crisculo.
Sure. Just one thing this evening. I would like to welcome to our administrative team for the Township Dee Brown, who is going to be our information officer. Dee is in the back there. She's a little shy, but you'll see her at events and so on throughout the community, taking pictures and posting and making sure all the residents know all about all the fantastic programs we have available to them in the township. And she also will be working with Crystal Springs on marketing that site, the parking deck, to revitalize it in creative ways and do marketing plans. And she's already done a tremendous amount of work in helping their department heads. When they're busy, as Brad said in the past, running the department, they don't necessarily have the time to do the civic readies or the water on a water main break or on something that's happening in a town. Dee's going to get into that role where when Mr. Losak is out sizing up a water main break, he knows that he could text Dee and Dee would be on it, do out the civic ready, post it on Facebook, let the people in the neighborhood know what's going on so that our staff can focus on their primary role, because a lot of times they don't remember to do that. And it's an important part of our activities is really to get out and inform our residents of all the wonderful things we do for them. Thank you, sir.
Welcome and good luck. You're welcome. Our attorney, Mr. Baker.
No report, Council President.
Our Township Clerk.
I do have two short items to report on. So there has been some recent legislative changes with respect to elections. Pursuant to NJSA 19:23-45, any unaffiliated voter this year that have not declared their party affiliation will not receive a mail-in ballot. So the county clerk's office has mailed out notices to all unaffiliated voters, their political party declaration form. You have to fill that form out and return that to the county clerk's office or to my office. Once that has been done, you will receive your mail-in ballot, and this must be done by April 12th. So once again, if you are undeclared or an independent party, you must declare your party affiliation in order to receive your mail-in ballot, and this must be done by April 12th. Okay? And that will be it. If you do not declare your party affiliation, you are still entitled to vote. However, you will have to vote in person. All right, so no one is taking away your voting right. You just will not receive your mail-in ballot. So in order to continue to receive your mail-in ballot, you must fill out that form and return that to the county clerk's office or to my office. And that must be done by April 12th. The next item I would like to report on will be animal licensing. I would like to thank all residents that have renewed their animal license for the year 2023. If you have not done so, I urge you to do so as soon as possible. Beginning April 1st, there will be a late charge assessed for anyone who have not renewed their license by that date. And that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Township Clerk. Any council reports? Councilwoman Zambicki?
So spring is sprung. It's time for us to get outside and start cleaning up our yards. And I want to talk about branch collection. Branches are collected separately from the regular scheduled solid waste collection. For curbside collection of branches, you can call the Office of Recycling at 732-390-6984 to be placed on a collection list. The branches need to be tied and bundled branches can be no longer than 4 feet long and weigh no more than 50 pounds. Residents, of course, can always drop off their unbundled branches at our recycling center. It's open Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 3:30. And of course, this is for East Brunswick residents only with proper ID required. Thank you.
Anyone else? We're good? Okay. Let's open up the portion of the meeting to the public. Will the Township Clerk please announce our public comment statement?
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his discretion, may choose to respond, not respond, or to ask administration to respond.
Thank you. Anyone from the public wishing to address the chair? Please.
Tom Ingrasani, 58 Deerfield Road. I live near Irwin School, not far from it. I just happened to pass by the other day, and there's a telephone pole leaning with a transformer on it. It's right in front of the entrance to the school. Could somebody look into that and make sure the wind might blow it down? It looks cracky and everything else, so it's just worth to look at. I don't know who to call on that, so, but that to me is a safety issue for the kids and everybody else. All right?
Irwin School.
Okay. And then I'm reading here, there's a $190 million school budget introduced in East Brunswick, including a tax hike. And there's $9.2 million for the upgrade of services and whatnot. And they're looking at a proposed tax levy of 1.7%. Is that true? I mean, I'm reading it that I got. I mean, that's a big jump. It's due to inflation and rising costs of services and everything else. Now, inflation is caused by, to me, energy. I believe that if we start writing to your congressmen and your officials in Jersey here to send it to President Biden to start drilling our own oil. That's what started all this thing in the beginning. That's how I feel personally, and I think everybody else feels the same way. Inflation went up, cost of goods went up, and it's it's the big reason for that. And there's no reason for it. So you got to stick together and write a letter to whoever your congressmen are. And interest rates are going up because of that. That's what causes more inflation. Banks are closing. It's scary. So to me, I don't think this administration is doing a good job. I hate to say it, but that's the truth. So you got to write letters. That's all I can tell you. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
We'll take the comments regarding the budget into consideration, Mr. Ingranasi.
Okay,
Thank you. Get back to you.
thanks.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the chair? Seeing none, we'll close that portion. Resolution 23-113. Township Clerk, would you please announce?
Resolution authorizing the introduction of the municipal budget of the Township of East Brunswick for the year 2023.
And second? Second. Before I go to comments, Mr. Criscuolo, anything on that, or just self-explanatory?
It's introduction.
Introduction, thank you. Any other comments from the council on the budget? Township Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes.
Thank you.
The consent agenda, does anyone need anything separated? Therefore, get a motion for Resolution 23-114 through 23-112.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on any of those items? Okay, we're good then. Call the roll, please, Township Clerk.
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes, there are no new ordinances for introduction. Nothing to report on regarding unfinished or new business for the good of the cause.
I've got something
Yes.
very brief.
Yes.
I was at the senior center late last week. They are bursting at the seams with programming, happy people. They're doing a fantastic job over there, and I just wanted to kind of give a shout out to all at EB Aging who are working so hard and doing wonderful things.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Good night, everyone.
Good night.